Hello and welcome back to Sempri's Rhetoric. Today I'm just doing a quick film review. It's called What Happened to Monday, directed by Tommy Wirkola. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that name. First time I've seen one of his films. It's a sci-fi, dystopian sci-fi movie. I like dystopian sci-fi movies. It's not a film necessarily to be taken all that seriously. I think it was perfect for me. I wanted sort of an afternoon movie just to take my mind off sort of a thesis that you get obsessed sometimes with these sort of like final semester thesis situations. So what is the dystopia here? Well, there's basically future Earth. We have a one-child policy, right? That's been done many times in sci-fi. It did remind me of this film Elysium with Matt Damon. I'm not sure who directed it, but off the top of my head. But I liked that film. I went to the cinema and I thought, this is just the sort of film that I like. But there were some problems with that film, and I actually will come back to that later. That's really, this premise is, I don't want to say too much about the film and give things away, but basically you have these 7 sisters, but they're all basically twins, well, not twins, but whatever the 7-person equivalent of twins are. They're sort of living sort of underground. In a way, I said that Tao movie was a good sort of lockdown movie. There was she's sort of stuck in this house all the time. You have the character in that film, and in this film you have a similar situation in a way, in the sense that someone spends nearly all their time sort of stuck inside. Well, anyway, I'm not going to give too much away about the film. There's a lot of action in the film, and that's why it's a nice kind of popcorn movie, a nice sort of afternoon distraction. I don't think the action was, incredible. I don't think it was sort of like Born Identity level of action. It did remind me, in terms of the action, of the Divergent films. I liked those films. I thought there was something about those films that really appealed to me. I'm not quite sure what it was. But I knew the films weren't necessarily that good. But I thought they were better than the Hunger Games, and way better than that Maze Runner. The last film I started watching, I had to switch it off after 20 minutes. It was awful. But I want to talk about these 7 sisters. There is a scene towards the end. Of course, I'm not giving anything away, but there's a scene where there's obviously quite a lot of fighting going on. And don't let that put you off. It is still an interesting film if you're not a huge sort of action film fan. It's not, the action doesn't overtake the rest of the film. That's the good thing about it. But there's a scene at the end, actually. Of course, these sisters are kind of like identicals, and they're obviously there's a fighting bit, and it reminded me of that film Double Impact with Jean-Claude Van Damme. I'm going to go back again to these 7 sisters. There's something funny where, and there's actually I was talking about funny, there's actually quite a lot of there's some intentional humour, and there's some unintentional humour, and I think actually that's quite good. I think the mix was perfect, again, for the sort of take your mind off things situation of watching a film. And there's one character who wears glasses, and it's so funny because, of course, she's the nerdy one. So it's a bit weird because you have 7 sisters, and they all they're supposed to be sort of identical and so on, but actually they've got completely different, well, not completely different, but they've got different personalities and different tastes and interests, which is fine, of course. There's nothing wrong with that. Of course, we have to be able to see the difference between, tell the difference of who's who, which character's which. Obviously, if they all looked exactly the same, it would be ridiculous. To be honest, I still got a little bit confused towards the end. I think maybe because I had a headache from the thesis, and that's why maybe I just missed something that's, I can't necessarily blame the film, but I got a bit confused at one stage. But, so this is one character, and she wears the glasses, and she's the nerdy one. And you think, oh, that's such an old trope. Why does it? I don't. Well, I don't know if I'm a nerd, but I've never worn glasses, and not even really sunglasses. But it's such a ridiculous trope. But it's made me laugh, right? But she actually also is. I think she's the best character. She actually has a very funny joke at one stage, or I thought it was funny anyway, which was a bit of levity in a serious moment of the film. And anyway, you have these sort of other sisters, and one's sort of likes to dress up. You think she's like a fashion woman, if there's such a thing, and sort of a businessy one, and a fitnessy character. One's got long hair, one's got short hair, and so on and so forth. Anyway, I thought it was funny, and that there's nothing wrong with any of these things. One criticism I have of the film is that it sets up some nice. It makes you think a little bit. Sometimes you think, sometimes you think, oh, how would that work exactly? And it does actually explain a few things. But it leaves a lot of sort of, loose ends, or you think, oh, actually, I'd like to see a bit more of this. So I wonder what she's been getting up to, this character, when she's been sort of going out and into the real world and so on. You don't get to, of course, there's no time. There's only 2 hours in the movie, and you've got these 7 sisters, and you're never going to sort of get to know most of the characters properly. And that's a bit of a shame. And that's why nowadays, TV programs are better, because you have time to connect with the character. And I just feel this film, I said I would come back to Elysium, and I think this is something with Elysium where I saw this film, again, it was in an afternoon, saw it at the cinema, obviously quite a few years ago, and you think, oh yeah, this is interesting. Again, it's sort of an overpopulated planet and all this stuff, but you only just get into it, and then actually the film's already sort of on its denouement, and the lovely sort of world that it or spaceship thing or whatever it is. As soon as you get sort of used to walking around in it for a few minutes, they start blowing it all up. It's such a shame, and that's why now I do prefer TV shows a lot more too. I'm watching a lot more TV shows than I am watching movies. So in a way, it's a criticism, but actually it's saying that the film's good because I actually did want to connect to the characters, and I wanted to see more. And actually, that was one of my problems with Hunger Games, was that I know, of course, you have to read the books. I didn't read the books. I actually did read the Divergent books, but only for me it was Hunger Games. In the film, I was thinking, I'm actually interested in these districts, and we never got to see really in the film hardly any of the districts. They just focus on 1 or 2 of the districts. Anyway, so that's look, it's just a quick movie. It was supposed to be a quick review. I do recommend the film. I think it's great if you need a distraction, if you've been working hard on your thesis and you just need a break, an afternoon break. Put this film on, and you can't go wrong, really. Okay, it was lovely to come back to YouTube after a really long semester, and hopefully I'm going to do some more movies, videos soon. Thank you very much. Bye.